Where... Where am I? This place really has a lot of grass. Maybe too much grass. 7.8 out of 10, actually. Hello? Anyone home?
It's time.
Usually not a good thing when a disembodied voice speaks to me. Yes, hi. Hi, Benson here from the Game Dimension New School Arcade. Yada, yada, yada. You get the drift by now. Listen, I don't know if this was your doing or not, but I don't think I'm supposed to be here. Can you maybe, like, bring me home or something? It's just a name. I'm not supposed to actually travel different dimensions.
Reconnect your past to make your future last.
What the fuck kind of D&D riddle bullshit is that? Just send me home. I'm trying to play video games. Oh, and Maneater.
Reconnect your past to make your future last.
Yeah, repeating it a second time doesn't emphasize your point. It just makes you sound repetitive. Switch up your language a little bit, homie. And while you're at it, maybe send me home, please?
Reconnect.
Reconnect. More like reconnect Kingdom Hearts. You know what I'm saying? Oh, thank goodness it was just a dream. I really need to stop drinking milk before bed. And I need to stop leaving the lights on. My obsession with good lighting is kind of getting out of hand. What's on the agenda for today? Holy shit, has it been a year since I made the Game Dimension? I guess I gotta figure out something special for it then. Alright. What's today on the list? I still have that Pokemon Sword and Shield retrospective that COVID ruined plans for. I also have an obligatory Mario game that every reviewer needs to do. I also have... Maybe I'm just gonna go play games for fun. No, this doesn't feel right. I actually want to do something. I'm extremely bored. I mean, I could go back to figuring out the 1-year anniversary of the Game Dimension. That's something, I guess. Nah, I'm gonna go outside. Huh. Would you look at that? There's a letter. Oh. Maybe this is the excitement that I need. I've been cordially invited to. Well, I guess I'm working on the special then? Okay, I gotta figure something out. You Dragon Plus? No. Fucking Final Fantasy, the 4 Heroes of Light? More like 4 Heroes of Cure My Depression. What's this? Lego Star Wars, the video game? That's gonna be a bitch to 100%. I've done GameCube several times before. Come on, there has to be something here. Anything for this 1 year. Wait a second. Sure. Why not? Let's just go?
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Game Dimension, a channel dedicated to nothing but video games, good, bad, and somewhere in between. I'm your host Benson, and I don't think I need to give any sort of introduction from classics that you may know me from. Can you believe that it's been 1 year of the Game Dimension already?
There have certainly been some hiccups along the way, some technical, most mental and physical health. But it's amazing that I've managed to stick with this channel for a whole frickin' year. In such a short time, you've given me such a warm welcome and watched my stupidly long reviews and wacky characters, and I'm still in awe that in less than a year, I'm already almost caught up to my original subscriber count when I first started to pursue filmmaking and content creation as my passion, way back in middle school on my original channel. The hero's journey that is my passion certainly has been long and challenging, but I'm glad the Game Dimension is bearing the fruits of the labors I always wanted and dreamed of as a kid. And it's all thanks to each and every one of you.
But we're not here to talk for unnecessarily long periods of time about sentiments and looking back at my start in my youth. We're here to talk for unnecessarily long periods of time about video games, and I figured what better way to bring this channel full circle than to review a SpongeBob game. Spongebob Squarepants, the movie game.
SpongeBob? Yeah, I'm not retreading this ground again. I'm not gonna blabber on for 2 minutes about SpongeBob's success. If you haven't been living in a pineapple under the sea for the past few decades, you have absolutely heard about SpongeBob and his success. While it isn't as large as early in his start, he's still kicking and is one of the longest running cartoons ever, for better or for worse. As such, it's no surprise that he's ventured beyond television to become even more successful. One of the realms he stepped into being the video game industry, with such classics like, say it with me, Battle for Bikini Bottom. If you've watched my reviews of the original and the remake, which you totally should if you haven't already, you would know that this game, along with SpongeBob in general, made my childhood. I would play this for hours on end, and coming back to it, it still holds up, and I still play it from time to time, including streaming it at one point and managed to get people interested because of it. It was a crucial piece to my childhood that I cherish greatly, even though it has some flaws that are more noticeable now to my disappointment. But there were two other SpongeBob pieces of media that made my childhood. One of them being the Spongebob Squarepants movie that released to audiences on November 19th, 2004. The movie followed SpongeBob and Patrick on a quest to get back Neptune's crown and save Bikini Bottom from Plankton's Plan Z, discovering themselves along the way. I used to love this movie as a kid, and Goofy Goober Rock was my anthem. But did it suffer the same fate of Battle for Bikini Bottom and have more noticeable flaws now that I'm older?
Nope.
I can't find a single damn thing to complain about this movie, even today. I love the animation, the jokes all land, the story's captivating, the morals are so well done, and David fucking Hasselhoff. How could a movie with a cameo like that be anything less than perfection? Before I get too distracted though with nostalgia, the movie's success did mean one thing. If you would so kindly turn to page 6 of your gamer's handbook, you would see that the early 2000s were an age where licensed games ran rampant, and SpongeBob already had a couple up until this point. So, what happens when that successful cartoon gets a successful movie? You're bound to get another licensed game in that universe, and that's exactly what we got with today's topic and the last of the Holy Sponge Trinity that made my childhood, the Spongebob Squarepants movie game. Releasing on October 27th, a few weeks before the movie.
Yeah, no, that's never a good sign still, is it?
This game released on PC, Game Boy Advance, Xbox, GameCube, and PlayStation 2, with a PlayStation 3 port years later that was taken down due to negative reception on the technical front. This was developed by Heavy Iron Studios, the same studio that released Battle for Bikini Bottom a year earlier.
Oh, that is definitely not a good sign, is it?
And it was received decently by critics, much like its predecessor. The movie game has also been received very positively by the community and is considered one of the best SpongeBob games out there, along with BFBB. However, in recent years, it seems as though the game definitely has been received in a more mixed light by fans, citing difficulty spikes, unfair design, and some wonky controls. To say that I'm nervous about revisiting this childhood classic is a bit of an understatement.
This game and BFBB certainly made my childhood, and I would constantly bounce back and forth between the two. However, for a certain amount of time, I went back to this game the most for some reason. If you probably asked me which of the two was my favorite, I was probably gonna say this one. But times have changed and so have I. Call it fate or whatever, but I feel like no better way to celebrate the 1 year anniversary of the Game Dimension than to play this game. Who knows, maybe I'll shake that weird feeling that I've had lately by playing it. But is it a Goofy Goober paradise or a lemon-scented wreck? I hope you're ready, ladies and gentlemen, because this is gonna be a good one. This is SpongeBob Squarepants, the movie game.
Let's get it on!
Oh, no theme song? I mean, I get it's the movie, but like, it's still SpongeBob. It feels weird to start a SpongeBob game without the theme song and rather some admittedly lackluster menu music. But in a way, I guess this is very nostalgic for me, and besides, it's just a nitpick. This not aging well doesn't define the game at all.
Welcome to our little tale of woe, triumph against impossible odds, terror, and managerly responsibility. Our story begins in the calm waters above the
But
town
this
Bikini Bottom.
defines the game.
So instead of in-game cutscenes to get us from level to level, the narrator and voice actors for the characters take us through still image slideshows of the movie and its events, which is really, really lame. What makes this decision even worse is that there are cutscenes that happen in-game that either introduce enemies, show us some sort of progression through a level, or flat out is an event at the end of a boss or level only to be played out lamely in a still shot 5 seconds later. If you wanted to show someone that this game was rushed to meet the movie a year after Heavy Iron Studios already made a SpongeBob game, you would show them these cutscenes. And that's me being generous. Some of these are even just an image of the characters you could easily find in Google Images slapped onto a scene from the movie. This has given me flashbacks to early YouTube, where people made still image videos with a movie editor that came with your shitty computer and passed it off as quality content. It's not good. Moving on though, before I get too many flashbacks to my middle school YouTube career, the story follows the movie almost to a T. Plankton steals King Neptune's crown, and it's up to SpongeBob and Patrick to get it back from Shell City to save Mr. Krabs and Bikini Bottom. There are obviously some leverages that the team takes to create more levels, such as expanding upon the world that the musical number, Now That We're Men, took place in, and also implementing a dream sequence towards the end. Dialogue and cutscenes between levels is watered down massively, so there's more reasons to hate them. But the dialogue in levels feels natural and right at home with the movie most of the time. It's witty and clever, and considering I love the movie's story, I really don't have many complaints there. We start off in the tutorial level, which is an expanded version of SpongeBob's dream at the beginning of the movie, and
I put in the right disc, right?
so again, given this game was a year after Battle for Bikini Bottom, Heavy Iron used the same graphics engine renderware for the movie game to cut corners and get it released on time, and much like in BFBB, the same applies here. Cinematic cutscenes look good, in-game worlds look decent and make great use of colors, and the in-game cutscenes make the character models look stiff and aren't the greatest.
This is not a good start, like, at all. It's not like the Cat in the Hat where it didn't start off the greatest, yet I didn't care, because I knew it probably wasn't going to be good by the end. This is a childhood game of mine, a cherished memory, and the fact that I may have to rip it apart some more honestly leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. But you know what? We haven't actually gotten to the gameplay yet. There is still plenty of time to salvage this experience. It's not over yet.
Much like the graphics, the combat is similar to that of the previous game.
Oh, come on!
But it comes with a new coat of paint to some of the moves, and honestly, that's all. Not much has changed drastically, which is a good thing since I still love the moveset and the general feel.
Oh, whew, thank God.
Much like in the movie, our duo is out to prove that they are not kids, but rather men. Buff, no nonsense, two and no halves men. And because of this, they ditch all the bubbles and nonsense to prove themselves. Okay, they went back to bubbles because of their hubris in the movie, but that isn't mentioned here, so shh, let it happen. As such, we have our basic moveset now with a bit more grit. Instead of a bubble wand, SpongeBob now uses his signature karate gloves for his basic attack, and it still feels simple and effective to use. Especially on these plankton crates that replace tikis, it has such a satisfying crunch to it. And that's all we get at the moment. This game trickles the rest of the moves out to you as you advance. It really does feel like a journey with lessons learned along the way, which I can appreciate, so as we continue on, we'll go over the moves. But for now, the basic combat is the same for SpongeBob and Patrick, and luckily, their spin attacks feel solid. What's also solid is the platforming in this game. Jumping has that right amount of weight to it like before, and the wall jumping SpongeBob uses still feels smooth and easy to control. So far, the mechanics are all transferred over seamlessly, and in no time flat, I feel accustomed and in my element. Speaking of elements, there are two new elements to this game, one of them being treasure chests that you unlock throughout levels. These are the secrets of this game, and for each one you find, you unlock different goodies, such as concept art, unlockable costumes, and voice clips. You'll find these off the beaten path or on alternate routes and vehicle levels that we will get to in just a bit, and they're a nice bonus collectible to find in the game. They aren't necessary to beat it, just additional goodies that aren't locked behind a movie theater, making me waste my time playing goddamn skee-ball and hoping I'd get enough finally to get into watch concept art for 5 seconds. No, I'm not the salty one, you're the salty! The other new element is instead of shiny objects, you collect manly points, and if you fill up this meter, a satisfying jingle plays to let you know you've earned a point. What are these points used for? Well, in this game, you have an upgrade system that can be used to upgrade your health and moveset, and I think this is neat, honestly. The game offers a bit more challenge when it comes to combat and platforming puzzles overall, so being able to acquire upgrades to make the task a bit easier is really neat. From your basic attack deflecting enemy projectiles back at them, to even adding some electric flare to your bowling move, these upgrades, generally speaking, are worthwhile to get. You did hear me right, though. A SpongeBob game is offering difficult platforming and combat, and for the most part, it succeeds. Bubble Bass clones over here go down in 2 hits later on in the game and have a toxic breath attack that expands and can damage you if you aren't careful, and enemies later on require certain moves to beat them, such as this enemy that hits you with a laser if you try to get too close to it.
These enemies, while essentially following the same attack patterns as the robots from BFBB, are a much welcomed obstacle. You can't just breeze through them with your basic attack like before. This game really wants to put your skills in combat to the test, and it works! So why do I have this feeling of dread creeping up on me while praising the enemy design? This better not nip me in the ass later on.
Back to the level itself, it's very straightforward and an exceptional way to introduce us to the ins and outs of the game. And as we near the end, we get a good view of Patrick's booty cheeks, or lack thereof in this case, and collect our main collectibles, Goofy Goober tokens, the jiggies of this game.
You thought I was gonna say stars again, didn't you?
And after a much more welcoming and exciting start to the game after lackluster opening cutscenes, the hub world opens up to us and...
Well, fuck.
So given this movie has a very linear adventure, the game follows suit, and instead of having a hub world with multiple levels to unlock, chooses to have you experience the game level by level until you reach the end game. Think of the original Crash Bandicoot in this light. While I can see and totally understand why they go and do this, I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit disappointed. I get that it's the movie game and all, but now instead of levels feeling much more open and having little side objectives to take you off the beaten path for a few minutes, it mostly feels like you go from point A to point B, see something obviously out of place, stop at a room for a second, collect your souvenir, and then go about like nothing happened. It really sucks a bit of the fun out of exploring SpongeBob's world. They could have made these areas a bit more open without sacrificing the idea of having to reach a main objective. I mean, BFBB had a main objective you completed by the end, so why close off these worlds a bit more, just because you don't have a hub world? Again, it isn't enough for me to really deter the fun I have with this game, but if you love the freedom you felt before, you may be a bit more disappointed now that levels focus on length more so than width and depth. Because of this, level objectives start to feel the same after the first 3 levels, generally speaking. Your platforming skills will be put to the test by destroying Plankton's creations, and then you continue on. Some of my favorite levels in the game don't even involve destroying stuff. They just have you going from beginning to end in a straight shot with some challenges along the way. It's definitely a bummer.
With all this in mind, I don't think I could do an in-depth analysis going from world to world like last time, just because of how samey these levels feel. Instead, why don't we go through each level individually and talk about the objectives and how you go about them until we reach the end.
So right after our tutorial level, we end up in Goofy Goober's ice cream party boat the morning after SpongeBob and Patrick don't learn their limits and get drunk on ice cream. Really thought I never have to say that. Before I get into this level, I just want to point out that this employee's mic quality sounds like it was recorded last second in a closet or something.
It's 8 in the morning. Closed. Go collect your friend and get out of here.
Like, did the crew forget to record that line and just got the nearest intern to do it right before submitting the game? Oh, fuck! Something wrong, Jimmy? Yeah, something's wrong. We forgot to record the line for the Goofy Goober employee. Shit, what are we gonna do? We sent all the voice actors home and said it was done already. I know. Fuck. We gotta find someone to film this really quick, because this game is due in, like, 5 minutes. Hey, I got those 2 coffees that you guys wanted. You want me to put them on the table or something? Yeah, please do, Kevin. And while you're at it, take that mic next to you and go into the studio and record some lines for me. He can't go into the studio. Yeezy's borrowing it right now. Well, can't we just kick him out of the studio? What's he doing in there? I don't know, something about rapping about himself and what he's referring to as poopity scoop. Fuck it. Kevin, go into the men's urinal and record some lines for me.
Yeah, won't the sound quality be bad though?
What's gonna be bad is you getting your ass thrown into Raccoon City if you don't get your underpaid ass into that urinal and record some lines.
Don't you mean Shell City because SpongeBob?
Nope. Oh.
Yeah, I think I'll go record my lines now.
Yeah, go do that.
It's not even just his voice. Sound effects still overpower the music sometimes in this game, which is irritating to still have to listen to. Ah yes, because nothing says Manly Sponge goes on a quest like the sounds of storming fucking Normandy Beach. Am I right, lads? Back to the actual level, this is one of the few that I mentioned earlier I enjoyed most because it doesn't have you hellbent on property damage. You just have to platform your way to the end to snap SpongeBob out of his drunken shenanigans so he can go to his job, and it takes full advantage of the setting. It feels like a Willy Wonka-style factory with large rooms of chocolate, freezers with massive platforms of ice cream, and even a large room made of cookies. It's colorful, vibrant, and a decent level in regards to platforming. This is also the first level we get to play as Patrick, and like I mentioned before, his moveset starts off the same as SpongeBob's with just a basic attack until we talk to Mindy and...
Wait a minute! Is Patrick rope swinging? Does that mean that Sandy isn't playable? Yeah, I'm okay with it.
I can't believe I have to say this, but yes, Sandy is not playable in this game, and no, I am not at all disappointed or upset by it. Like, I still find it shocking that people chalk this up as a legitimate complaint for this game. I get it, Sandy was an amazing character, but you know where she is during the movie? Being mind-controlled by Plankton. Like, come on now. This game is about SpongeBob and Patrick, the peanut butter to each other's jelly, the fanboy to their chum chum, the fucking Streamlabs to their constant crashes. It's meant to be a partners in crime game. It isn't that serious to complain over, and these two still have fun movesets.
Also, watching Patrick hang by his tongue is hysterical. It's his special talent, ladies.
Back on track though, we get our first look at expanding our moveset by talking to Mindy and get to learn the cartwheel. Wait, I'm sorry, come again? So, apparently Goofy Goober tokens aren't used for unlocking levels, but more so for learning new moves in the game. It makes sense, I suppose, to give these things a purpose, considering using them as a blockage to actual levels is kinda nuts, but as long as it doesn't get to that point or too out of hand with how many you need, it's an okay substitute.
Oh, not this again.
So we need to get a few more of them, and one of our options is this blue panel, which can come in the form of 3 different challenges: combat, platforming, and sponge ball. I'm gonna be completely straightforward. I only like one of these challenges, and that's the platforming challenge, and even then, it's only decent to me. The combat challenge, the one we are exposed to in the second level, is essentially just a gauntlet of fighting enemies several times, and at first, it was fine. A bit repetitive, but fine. But halfway through the game, the challenges become one big clusterfuck, as a large number of the basic enemies swarms you, while you also have to deal with enemies throwing projectiles at you too. This can be remedied by upgrading your basic attack so it reflects projectiles, sure, but this exposes something made unnecessarily unforgiving: the hitbox. With SpongeBob using his karate gloves, both gloves are a chance to land a hit, so if you miss on the first swing, you still have a rotating backup hit you could still use. It's clever and gives a little leeway at first with enemies, so you can get used to the combat. I'll give it that. However, once you add projectiles to the mix, that's when it becomes sprinkled with bullshit, because your hitbox while spinning expands not just from your body, but also to your outstretched arms. It is so ridiculously specific and ends up putting you in more harm than good, because you'll be in a combat challenge trying to deal with enemies swarming you, only to be ambushed last second by projectiles and get hit, leading to the enemies to laugh at you like you just ripped wind in a library. So you try to deal with the projectiles, and all of a sudden 50 different coughings use fucking toxic on you, leading you to get hit and laughed at anyways, so you're literally stuck running around for Krabby Patties to heal up and try to do the cha-cha slide around all enemies, all for a Goofy Goober token. It's not fun, it's irritating, and I would avoid these, but these are the easiest ways to get tokens.
Okay, deep breaths. That was only 1/3 of the challenges. I'm sure the next one is going to be good.
So the Spongebob challenges consist of you rolling around obstacles to get to the end. You fall off at any point and you start over. I still do not like the sponge ball. My same complaints are here. Doesn't feel right to control, and getting hit by anything will send you flying into the pits of hell, and you can't do anything about it. Moving on. The final challenge is platforming as Patrick across floating cubes, and like I mentioned before, this is the best of the 3 challenges you'll find, but that doesn't make it good. It's a simple concept, and honestly, they don't feel challenging per se. It just feels like a really long and bland obstacle course. The most challenge you'll feel is fighting with these ice cubes, because for some reason, you can ledge grab onto these and they will start to shrink anyway, so by the time you climb on, you'll be already facing certain death. That's just flat out cruel. They also have a timer that doesn't reset either and continues for a few seconds during your death animation, so like, why not just start us from the beginning? You're designing these to be against us for the slightest mistake. That's not challenging, that's annoying. You could have just simply put the timer over the Spongebob challenges, since those are shorter, and you start us from the beginning on those anyways, and then just use the checkpoint system with no timer in the platforming challenges. This is a really odd design choice for challenges they clearly want you to do for tokens. Speaking of design choices, why does this giant box start to become the environment like it's purgatory? Is this to throw us off our game one last time? Because if it is, it isn't working. It's just making me want to throw up. It's vertigo.
All in all, these 3 challenges weren't as fun to take part in as I remember them. They're filled with so many design flaws and technical problems that it just becomes a chore. But unfortunately, you're gonna want to do these because they're the easiest way to get Goofy Goober tokens. Unfortunately.
Once we get enough tokens, we unlock the cartwheel that can help you destroy walls and also move a bit faster through a level. As the game progresses and you upgrade, the destroying wall part becomes a bit more obsolete. You'll only really be using this move to trek through levels a bit faster if you remember it's there. There are side objectives to this level for Goofy Goober tokens to come back to once you upgrade your moves a bit, such as up Chocolate Creek. And for the most part, these are all decent. It's time consuming waiting for platforms, but unfortunately, this is the most time I've spent on a side objective. Like I mentioned before, these other tokens don't feel like neat little side objectives in this game. They just feel like promising flings that end in 30 seconds, and the game proceeds to ask, was it good for you? And you say, yeah, it was fun, but deep down you know there could have been more. Most of these are not bad, I gotta make myself clear there. They're exceptional, but that's all they will ever be unfortunately in this game design. They don't go anywhere beyond the room you're in for 5 seconds. Hell, challenges like the Disco Challenge later in Thug Tug, while you are moving a lot more here, do not at any point leave the room you find them in. It feels like a one and done thing you're just supposed to pretend never happened. And that's a lot of the side objectives here, which is so disappointing. Unless they are goober challenges with 2 moves that we'll certainly get to soon enough, I can't go in depth about them because at the end of the day, they all boil down to be quick moments that I can either summarize as good or bad, and that's not something a game should force you to do. You should be able to pick out these objectives and get excited over them and talk for a bit about why you enjoy them, not describe them in a 10 words or less format.
I don't get it. I should be having fun right now. I never noticed any of this when I was a kid, so what happened? This isn't an aged poorly type of thing. No, that's for something bad, generally speaking, in my opinion. This is more like an aged disappointingly type of situation. Was I drawn to review this game just to open my eyes to this? No, that can't be it. I've rambled on for a lot of things, but the main objectives of these levels are still really fun. Plus 2, it's the side things that aren't great. I could just skip most of those for the end game. There's still plenty of time to salvage the entire experience.
After summarizing the next parts of the movie leading up to Krabs being frozen, we start our next level in the Paddy Wagon, a vehicle level. The objective here is simple, just drive to the edge of town and call it a day. And because of this, the level isn't half bad. I actually enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. Controlling the Paddy Wagon is a bit slippery. I mean, I get it's a giant version of greasy fast food, but I don't think this would generate enough grease to Tokyo drift hard around the corners like it does. It also does this annoying thing where if you bump into anything, you go flying and lose all momentum. And as for controlling it while using nitro speed and in water, forget it. Just give in to the Paddy and call it a day. But despite my gripes with it being a bit of a pain to control, the level design accustoms to it and salvages the mechanics a bit. This level is a drive through town and a lot of the areas are more open, so you have plenty of time to turn and maybe use the obnoxious drift to your advantage. But even if you can't fully, you aren't punished for it and can just take advantage of the rest of the open road. It's certainly flawed but still enjoyable because of this. The Paddy Wagon also becomes more beat up as you take damage and also splits apart and then sticks back together like in the movie, which is just the cutest attention to detail. There are side objectives in these levels in the form of time trials and ring challenges. These are self-explanatory. Get to the end before time runs out, and get to the end but hit every ring along the way. The ring challenges are interesting because they are their own challenge, sure. But if you follow the route these rings highlighted while you're doing the manly time challenge, you are guaranteed success. It's a clever way to highlight shortcuts and give your player the best knowledge they can going forward, which I can always appreciate. All of these objectives during this level are pleasant. They didn't stress me out much despite the wagon itself being flawed, and if this is what the rest of the vehicle levels are like, consider me a happy camper. After that, we end up at the edge of town and have to walk through the desert all while destroying Plankton's broadcasting towers with our new uppercut move. This move is essentially the bubble bash from before, and it's still simple to use. And that's because the uppercut leading up to the hit is fast and effective. The actual motion of doing it isn't actually a wide uppercut, but more of a slight hook that doesn't take away any momentum, nor throws you off by suddenly curving from your mark. You wouldn't notice though because it's all in one fluid motion, and I'm very satisfied with this. It doesn't take away anything from this move. Unless you upgrade it. No, making your knuckles spiky so your enemies' assholes were punctured with holes like it's a sponge wasn't enough. It sticks like a porcupine quill and then explodes. On enemies, I can certainly appreciate it, but it becomes very tedious very quickly when I go to hit a button and then it sticks like an enemy. You could set the explosive off by pressing triangle again, sure, but you still have to wait a second for the direct hit to register, which is eye-rolling to have to do. Easily my least favorite upgrade, since this is the only real flaw amongst any of them. The complaint about the hitbox during basic attacks applies without upgrades too, so it doesn't count. The level itself is rather inoffensive. It's another straight shot through with 5-second intervals of punching buttons surrounded by dirt and country bumpkins. Wait, where are we again?
Let's see. Lots of sand, country bumpkins, an obnoxious obsession with banjos. God damn it, it's always Florida!
After that level, though, we are treated to one of the final different styles in the game, sliding levels, and this is just a straight shot of adrenaline. You just slide to the end, that's all there is to it. And yet it's this simplicity along with the music that makes it so exciting. Have a listen. Yeah, sliding themes for Spongebob never cease to make me want to headbang. It's so exhilarating. The other objectives in these levels are also time trials and ring challenges, and again, still enjoyable. The time trials are unfortunately plagued by the checkpoint problem rather than starting you from the beginning if you fall off, but it's not a deal breaker. These sliding segments are still radical.
Did somebody say radical?
No!
After that, we end up in Thug Tug trying to get back our paddy wagon and the key whilst learning a new move, Patrick's Smash Attack. You use Patrick's dump truck to hit enemies and buttons with this move, and if you use it around an enemy, you can stun them to use the throw ability later on. Until that point, however, this move does sadly feel like a bit of a gimmick to defeat one enemy and sometimes press buttons, but at least the level takes advantage of it enough to feel satisfying. And that's also this level as a whole, satisfying, probably one of my favorites in the game. The aesthetic, the enemy designs, even the side objectives all take advantage of every move you have, and it all culminates into a bar brawl at the end. Who doesn't love a good bar brawl? Also, the music here is probably my favorite of the whole game. Yeah, the game's soundtrack is great to listen to. It's not better than BFBB, sure, but when it has its bangers, it lets you know. Once we get the paddy wagon back, we have another vehicle level, but this time, we have to find keys around the same track, which requires multiple laps. This may be offsetting at first, but honestly, I'm okay with this level. The environment changes as you collect more keys, which opens up more pathways to get the rest, so it's not like you're going down the exact same road over and over again. It doesn't overstay its welcome.
Wow, after such a worrisome start, this is a great streak that we're on right now. This is the game that I remember. Nothing can stop us now.
This boss sucks.
Yep, spoke too soon.
After that level, we have our first boss of the game, Mr. Whiskers, and he is pathetically easy. His attacks are easy to telegraph, and then you have to spank him to damage him. This old lady comes in to beat the shit out of you with ice cream.
I've heard of worse ways to die.
But even then, she isn't hard to dodge either. The fight is over in a flash, and we lose our paddy wagon and have to slide down the trench with our new mustaches now that we went from boys to men. This is yet another great sliding level, now with monsters popping up every once in a while, and it is creative as hell. Sliding down the inside of monsters, being jump scared by a few of them, and even jumping over lava is a fun experience that put a smile on my face. Some parts do turn into kelp forest and become extremely dark, but that doesn't take away from this. It's a nice free fall into the next level, which...
I'm sorry, SpongeBob. You don't have enough Goofy Goober tokens for me to give you the Sponge Bowl. You'll need the Sponge Bowl to defeat the monsters here.
Oh. I guess the game finally caught up to us in needing tokens. That's okay. This is where I did the ring and time trials of the first Paddy Wagon level to catch up, since the other objectives in the platforming levels all require moves we don't have yet, so we're fine. I'm sure this won't happen again. Back on track though, we get the Sponge Bowl during this level, and it surprisingly feels better to use in this game. The tiptoeing doesn't feel like it moves you too far ahead, and the act of aiming and rolling still is satisfying, and with puzzles throughout the game requiring it, it gets some good shine, especially in this level. Speaking of this level, this is probably my favorite one of the entire game. It's another level that has you going straight through, but the developers really got creative here. The basic enemy designs are stellar, the atmosphere is creepy and dark, and we even get to briefly fight some monsters with the bowling technique, which is impressive. Everything in this level is perfect from a main objective standpoint. There are still the annoying side challenges in the form of Sponge Ball and all that garbage, but again, it's something that reoccurs throughout the game. Looking at this level from a standpoint of what it requires from you to advance in the story, and even side missions specific to that level, such as gliding across a frozen lake of lava, it's so well made creatively and technically.
We are now at the halfway point of the game, and we've reached a height that I'm beyond thrilled to be at. Nothing can stop us now.
Patrick, if you want to destroy those TVs, you'll need to learn to pick up and throw objects. You need more Goofy Goober tokens before I can teach you.
Oh. Again? I could have sworn I did the last level's side objectives for the most part. I figured we'd be set on tokens by now. Guess we gotta backtrack, I guess.
At least we have Sponge Ball, so 1 or 2 puzzles, and just like that, we're good to go. Wait, it's still not enough? I guess we need to do the ring and time trials in the other vehicle levels. Alright, this should be as easy as the first one, so let's make this quick. Oh, whoops, my bad. Guess I didn't turn fast enough and bumped into a wall. That's fine, I'll just try again and wait. No, don't turn like that, don't! Okay, that's fine, we can just do another level. Let's try the slide time trials then. Almost there, wait, no! Really? Might as well start over, considering the checkpoint is the pain in the ass. That's my bad, I guess.
I'll cut off your nutsack and nail it to my door! Like one of those lion door knockers rich folks got. That will be your—
Alright, we need to talk, because now I'm fucking pissed!
Oh my god! Oh my god! What the fuck happened here? The ring and time trial challenges are the worst going forward. Every flaw that I mentioned for the slide and paddy wagon stages is being exposed every damn minute from here on out. More so the paddy wagon. The slides can be remedied by just starting over if you need. Those are annoying only in the time trials. But the paddy wagon, seriously, fuck the paddy wagon. The paddy wagon levels going forward feel much more claustrophobic with more sudden turns and oil spills or water causing you to slip and slide at the most inconvenient times. I'm talking right as soon as you get past the ring inconvenient. It doesn't give you enough time to prepare for anything, and the slippery feeling of the vehicle rears its ugly head during these levels, particularly in jumps, because it likes to veer off for no goddamn reason, and if you aren't aligned perfectly, you hit a wall, slow motion freefall down, and miss your jump, which is crucial during time trials, particularly manly time trials. Those do not allow any room for error. If you fuck up once, you might as well start over because you more than likely will not recover, since readjusting yourself can take 5 seconds at a time. I hit the same damn corner every fucking time during the second wagon level, because turning sucks during these parts, and they love to place obstacles that damage you as well right around the corner, which is just annoying. I am all for challenge, but like I said in my Crash Bandicoot review, you cannot expect perfection from the player if your design is not perfect nor fair itself. This absolutely applies here. This isn't challenging. This is downright annoying.
So why not do the challenges in the platforming levels, you big bubble-blowing baby, is what you're probably saying right about now. And you're right. I probably should, shouldn't I? Except I can't.
A lot of the challenges for past levels require moves that you're coming back to unlock, and the ones that don't, you've already beaten in the form of platforming segments or the 3 challenges I mentioned before. so you already have those damn tokens. If by some miracle you do find yourself a challenge for one of your previous moves, it's still never enough, so you go backtracking through levels to find other challenges, only to be shut down anyways. And guess where it leads you back to? Here, right fucking back to the vehicle levels. You don't need any moves to beat these, you beat them one after the other, so why wouldn't you try and do these, rather than backtrack across entire levels only to be shot down? That's the trap this game puts you in slowly up to this point. It makes you pick your poison. Would you rather gamble and waste time going through platforming levels to hope you miss something you could do then and there, or would you rather immediately try your hand at flawed time trials in the sliding sections and all-around worsening vehicle levels that expose everything I mentioned about controlling the paddy wagon? Either way, it leads you to the same conclusion. You are now slowly losing patience and not having fun because Mindy wildly ups how many fucking tokens you need to actually start a level. I'm not kidding when I say half my footage from this point on is just backtracking through levels and the trials in the vehicle stages. It took more time for me to get tokens to play future levels than to actually play said levels with available side objectives included. What the fuck is that? I swear to God, if this gets any more out of hand, I'm going to scream. This level doesn't do anything to help either because holy shit are the throwing puzzles in this level atrocious. The side quests are admittedly some of the best here, with Patrick jumping across trash platforms amidst rising sludge and tongue gliding across goo. But using the goddamn throw ability to destroy TVs and advance through levels is the worst it has ever been. These require exact precision from you, which would be fine if the level didn't throw 50 enemies at once at you, and also the goddamn level wasn't complete garbage. Get it? Because the level is a giant wasteland? Ha 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 ha! Everyone laugh at my misery! This one section, especially with the pipe and exhaust fumes coming out, is the worst, because guess what they decided to put on this twisty, narrow, dangerous pipe for no reason while you carry fruit across that could wilt at any minute. Yep! Ice physics, yeah. They put fucking ice physics on the pipe for no reason! Why would they do this? Fuck!
How is this possible? How do we go from the highest point in the game into an immediate freefall of quality? It baffles my mind. The only thing that can make this worse is a frustrating boss fight. Goofy, goober, damn it!
Right after that level, we fight Dennis and have to throw fruit at him to defeat him while dodging exploding toilets. Really puts a new meaning to explosive diarrhea. The fight starts off fine until these spinning enemies come into play because you're on a small platform and they never stop spinning, meaning that if you try to go throw at Dennis after locking on, you probably will be hit and it botches your shot. You could try to beat them before dealing with Dennis, but they constantly spawn in, and it is just so annoying towards the end. Holy shit! Ugh, let me just try and use my upgraded basic attacks to keep him at bay. Maybe that'll solve it. Wait, what? You can deflect attacks back at him? That has to be a glitch. There's no way. Nope, it isn't. You can deflect attacks. So these boss fights get easier by deflecting attacks. Okay then. I genuinely don't know what to say at this point. This has to be something they overlooked, but I'll take it. Also, before I move on, the music here is good and all, but it sounds eerily familiar. It's probably nothing. Once we defeat Dennis, we are kidnapped by the Cyclops, and apparently we pass out and wake up in a Goofy Goober dream where we have to give chase to the Goober himself. Finally, I can give this fucking nut a piece of my mind about his damn tokens.
But remember, Patrick's platforming dream through ice cream was cancelled last game. I don't remember too much about this part, so I'm more than excited to see what they fulfill from what was lost.
Stay with him, SpongeBob.
This is a prank, right? It has to be. You have all these wonderful visuals, and you place it in a dream amidst Sweets with Patrick involved! Yet this is what you give me. driving around chasing after Goofy Goober, which is boring and repetitive, along with ring challenges that make me want to vomit because some rings are directly in front of the path of projectiles. Good going, Heavy Iron. Way to prank a bunch of gamers. I nominate this as the level with the most wasted potential. It's not even the new Kelp Forest. It deserves its own category with how disappointed and annoyed I am. After we break free from the dream, we wake up in Shell City and retrieve the crown, which leads into another sliding level, and this level is hands down one of the worst sliding levels I've ever played. It wouldn't be enough to have a slide around the store in these slim hoses with sharp turns. No, that would be too easy. Let's have there be objectives that you need to hit to unlock more of the level to escape, and not only not show you where everything is, but make it so the damage you're doing isn't seen in view, and the only way to see where you need to go next is by dying and starting at the beginning of the level. Oh, did I mention there are multicolored hoses with different branching paths and no clear indication of which leads to what, if anything at all? Because that happens. So after that escape, we have another boss fight with Dennis. Now the point of this fight is to Spongebob him to death, but between his knives keeping you at bay, the constant enemy spawn-ins, and Hasselhoff, or whatever this Chinese bootleg of Hasselhoff is supposed to be, having a dump truck of an ass that could throw off your aim, I got tired really quick and just deflected the knives back at Dennis. Each individual one counted as a hit, so I did some hefty damage. Boy, I'm sure having fun now.
Listen, I'm trying to be optimistic here, but this last half of the game is becoming more and more like a slog. Yeah, the first half had minor problems, don't get me wrong, but they don't rear their ugly head as much here. From technical polishes lacking up to the levels themselves, and especially up to the constant backtracking for tokens, more than playing the actual game, it's just all irritating. It's not purely bad, once again, don't get me wrong, but it does leave a mediocre and bitter taste in my mouth. Until you hit Planktopolis.
This level is the hardest in the entire game and is a gauntlet of what you have up until this point. Even the side objectives are going to test your mentality as you make it through. Either you love or hate this level in the community, and as much as I am not a big fan of certain small parts, such as trying to Spongebob on these conveyor belts while momentum and obstacles work unfairly against you, I enjoyed it. It's a very fair test for the most part, and it doesn't let up on you. This is what fair and challenging design of this game should look like. No designs clashing against you and a rarity of bullshit moments. Just you against the world. This is also where we get the Sonic guitar, and is it just me, or does this control way smoother than the cruise bubble from BFBB? Turning didn't feel as obnoxious at first, and it's very fluid. I didn't find myself struggling to hit these statues, the objective of this level, at any point. It wasn't frustrating, and I enjoyed using this move.
After saving all of the citizens from the hypnotic control of the buckets, we have one last driving level to get through. And considering we've unlocked every move up until this point, nothing is stopping us from getting to...
I can bring it back, but you'll need more Goofy Goober tokens. Come back as soon as you can.
Excuse me?
50. We need 50 tokens just to bring back the paddy wagon. You're kidding, right? Why? Why would you do that? When you got to the moves and needed to go back to collect tokens, you only needed like 2 or 3 of them. Here, we need over 5 more tokens. Are you kidding me? What the fuck kind of design choice is this? Yes, there are some challenges you can go back to and do, but the ones you haven't unlocked yet, you have to backtrack to hopefully find. And even then, it still could not be enough. So you know where that leads you back to again, right?
Oh, no. I am not going through the driving challenges again. There has to be something else. Please let there be. Sonic wave challenges? Yes, I'll take those. I'll take anything at this point. These can't be that bad.
Spoke too soon. Most of these challenges are just bad, if not worse than any of the driving challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Death Star Simulator, because you are literally just like the torpedo, trying to find the weak point of the Death Star. And I fucking hate it. The one at Thug Tug, not bad at all. In fact, it was rather straightforward, and I rather enjoyed that one. But the biggest offenders, Goofy Goober's Party Boat and Shell City Dead Ahead, these almost cost me a controller. Most of the Party Boat is harmless, it's just passing through more rings and an enclosed environment, which is fine. But the beginning part where you go through the tunnel can fuck right off. You could barely see where you enter it, and someone at Heavy Iron decided that making you have to turn in the dark would be a good idea to implement rather than have it be a straight shot. Because challenging, right? This is fair challenge, correct? Shell City Dead Aheads is arguably worse as a whole because it's in an open area and designers thought it'd be a good idea to not only have you pass through rings that could easily make you fail because they're so close to platforms at a Twitch's notice, but also make some rings pop up last second out of the corner of your eye, so turning to reach them if you aren't prepared is almost impossible. This isn't fair. A lot of what this game tries to pull off as challenging is not fair design. Believe me, I am no bubble-blowing baby, and this game can be challenging a lot of the time in a fair way. But design choices like this add up after a while and make the difference between challenging and frustrating more palpable in this game, and unfortunately, it goes for the latter too often. I shouldn't have these challenges be memorable for being BS. It's a headache and a half, and the fact I contemplated backtracking through levels and even just finishing the driving challenges speaks volumes for about how tired out I am. Which is a darn shame, because the final driving level isn't half bad. I actually enjoyed it. It's a race against the course to try to get to the Krusty Krab 2 before anything blocks your path, and it's genuinely a good time. But I am just so done with mediocre design and bullshit backtracking in this last half of the game that I can't find myself completely enjoying it. I don't know what to say anymore. Let's just get to the final boss, I guess. As you probably could have expected, our final boss battle is against King Neptune, and this is easily the best fight of the game. And I'm not just saying this because he's the finale. This is actually a decent fight, all things considered. You have to quite literally turn the tables on King Neptune while dodging his attacks, and once he tries to snipe you, hide behind craps to stun him and then launch a sonic wave at him. It's simple, sure, but it still isn't half bad. The attacks weren't much of a pain to dodge, the difficulty ramps up slowly and fairly, the enemies spawning while a pain in the ass are easily counterable without taking anything away from the fight, and the music is so kick-ass. The first part is amazing, but then as soon as King Neptune starts to get serious, Goofy Goober Rock starts playing like in the movie, and I can absolutely get behind this. It feels strangely epic.
Okay, it appears baldness is the least of our friend's worries. Methinks he's been struck by a case of Minecraft villageritis.
After we win, we get one last Goofy Goober token and a shitty slideshow of the ending of the movie, and the voice actor sound is checked out at this point as me. Oh yeah, I should probably mention that they got Clancy Brown to voice Mr. Krabs in this game, so that's an automatic win in my book. If you do collect all 68 Goofy Goober tokens, really? You're one number away from being funny, you couldn't let me have this? You get another ending, which is like the credits from the movie of SpongeBob doing all of his managerial duties. The credits roll and you end up at the beginning of the game to then go back and collect anything that you may have missed. The ending is the only 100% completion award you get, which is a little bit lame. The ending I could see a mile away, but no Ocean Man? Come on, that's a missed opportunity. That being said, I think that covers it. That's all there is to SpongeBob Squarepants the movie game. Certainly a way to celebrate 1 year of the game dimension, I suppose.
With all that said and done though, we know what time it is by now. It's review time of this childhood classic of mine, so... did SpongeBob Squarepants the movie game take me by the hand and lead me to the land that I understand? Or is it a Goofy Goober flop? I don't actually know. I mean, I had fun with this game, don't get me wrong, but how much of it was actual fun, and how much of it was just me justifying this game because it was a big part of my life and who I am today? I gave BFBB a fair treatment, so what's stopping me from doing the same with this? Is it because I have more memories with this in my childhood? Am I being too harsh with this game? Am I not harsh enough? Excuse me, guys.
Ugh. Come on, Benson. Get it together. People are expecting a big celebration. You cannot let uncertainty get in the way. Just come out and say how you feel about the game. It can't be that hard, right? Whoa. I'm sleepier than I thought. Maybe I just need to lay my head down. This place. Am I dreaming again? No, that hooded guy, he was real. And he kicked me in the face. Ah! Asshole. Hey, what gives? What's your stake in all of this? Why did you bring me here? Hello, I'm talking to you. I know that hood doesn't block your hearing. Why did you bring me here again? Yeah, interpretive dancing doesn't exactly help me out here. Maybe if you used your voice, we can... Hey, wait a second. These are all the games that I reviewed. So what, am I supposed to just pick a game and then you're gonna give me the answer that I want? Fine, I guess I'm gonna play along then. I mean, Malmo was the most recent game that I played, so let's see what's behind door number. I'm guessing Malmo wasn't the answer. Wait, Radical Benson, is that you? God damn it, man, this is low even for you. I get it. I didn't talk about the multiplayer well enough, I guess. So if it'll get you to leave me alone, I guess I'm gonna play... I'm guessing you're not Radical Benson, then. You wanna help me out here and give me a hint? I'm kinda getting annoyed with this. Yeah, sure. That simplifies things. I mean, what is this supposed to be, like a redemption arc? Getting my mojo back to deliver a final verdict? I mean, I didn't 100% crash, so I guess that means... Oh! So, does that mean that origami... Really not getting the vibes here. All I'm seeing for a common pattern is that I played these games when I was a kid. Wait a second.
Reconnect your past to make your future last.
You were the one that planted the idea of playing the movie game in my head, weren't you? I mean, okay, I guess I can review all of these, but it's gonna take some time. So how am I supposed to review these then? Me? Is that what you mean by reconnect to my past? Am I supposed to just let go of everything I've worked on up until this point? Go back to how I feel about games? How I feel about life? Thanks for the offer, but I'm gonna pass. Look, I would love to go back to how I viewed life in games. I miss my childhood. Who doesn't? But I'm not gonna give up anything I worked on for the world. Things may age as I get older. Maybe I will never go back to seeing things as I once did. But you know what? I still have those memories, and at the end of the day, they shaped me into who I am today. And for once, I am not gonna let anyone or anything take that away from me. I don't care what happens to my future if I don't go back to how I viewed these games or gaming as a whole. I'll forge a new future. A future where I can appreciate things for what they are. Appreciate myself for what I am. And that's someone, much like these games, that has lacked polish, but will be getting better as the years go by. You can bring me to all the dimensions that you want. You can clap your hands or twirl or do whatever interpretive dance you mind. But I am never, ever going to give up who I am for some nostalgia dimension trip. That is how I feel. Hey, aren't you gonna bring me back to my dimension? This is usually the part where the hero overcomes the villain's morals and finds themselves. Poof me back! I am getting sick and tired of these silent and creepy characters on my show. Hey, didn't you hear me? I know that hood didn't stop. Bring me...
Reconnect.
Who are you?
Hey, I'm back home. Hopefully it's the last time I see that fucker. Alright, let's do this. Sorry about that, folks. I got caught up in some stuff, but it's review time though, and to be fairly honest, I had fun with this game. At points. But with that being said, I wouldn't exactly say this is as great of an experience as I remember it.
At the beginning, it was all fun and games. A few hiccups here and there, but nothing that would have made me not love this game as much as I did back then. But then as the levels carried on, the problems I thought were hiccups were given more light in bad design, and backtracking so much for stupid tokens altogether, I started to really see the cracks of this game by the end. The beginning half is really great, the music is wonderful, the moveset is as solid as ever, the game is still a looker despite the times changing, the humor is signature Spongebob comedy, and the final boss isn't half bad. However, this doesn't excuse a lot of stuff, such as the moments the developers thought would be challenging but have since become unfair with time. The backtracking for tokens is once again obnoxious and so unnecessary. The other bosses are pathetically easy and exposable. Side objectives, when they aren't horrendous sliding or driving challenges, are one-room jokes that at that point shouldn't even be considered a different thing, but rather just a main trek for the world, and technical polish is severely lacking at times, due to time constraints. This doesn't mean the game is bad at all. Again, there are enjoyable parts, and the levels themselves, if you're just playing them without side objectives or returning to fix goober paywalls in mind, are pretty exciting for the most part. But that's the thing. Heavy Iron had a good thing going and then just saturated it with too much, with too little time to make it, and as a result, it's a disappointingly slightly above average experience overall. If they had more time to fix and readjust challenges, mechanics, etc., or just stick to a straightforward adventure with bigger levels, then this would definitely be another definitive SpongeBob experience with challenges galore. But as it is, I'm sorry to say it's underwhelming and rather claustrophobic at times. I still hold the game dearly to my heart, don't get me wrong, but after today, my eyes were definitely open more compared to Battle for Bikini Bottom, and honestly, even though it'll never get this treatment, I feel like this game deserves a remaster and a second chance at life. There are good ideas here, but they never have proper time to grow, which sucks, and I think a remaster would fix almost everything I had a problem with about this game. I wouldn't mind coming back because again, for the most part, I did have a good time. Not the greatest, but still enough to make me want a remaster. If you're looking for a challenging SpongeBob adventure, then I would definitely recommend this, but be warned about everything I said today. It'll make some of these headaches a bit more tolerable if you do. Because at the end of the day, I still do love this game and what it's done for me. But that doesn't necessarily make it one of the best games ever. Just something I hold dearly to my heart and probably will come back to personally and enjoy in chunks. Are you ready, kids? Because at the cheap prices you can find this game at, and if you're willing to take my advice and go into this knowing what you know now, this is definitely a buy worth visiting at least once. At the end of the day, we're all goofy goobers, and a good chunk of this game really does rock. Every reviewer does this, and if I do have to recommend which one to play first between this game and BFBB, I'm probably going to pick BFBB. It's a more complete experience and is honestly the best way to experience the SpongeBob IP. The movie game does have its moments and can be enjoyable, don't get me wrong, but I would be lying if I said it held up as great as I remember it. It doesn't do anything offensively bad, nor does it shine like the last game. It's a good old 6 or 7 out of 10 if I do have to rate it. And you know what? I'm okay with that. You guys came to me for a fair review after all. I'm coming back to this no matter what, just like I'm sure I'm going to do with any childhood game of mine. But I'm not here to do that. I'm here to review, give fair critiques, and give you guys the best experience possible. I've been doing that for a year, and I'm not going to stop now. But with that being said though, that is not only a wrap on this review, but 1 year of the Game Dimension.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in as always. I don't know how any of you sit through any of these long-ass reviews, you absolute mad lads. But rest assured, I appreciate it, and you. You guessed it though, before I go, it's question time. Have you played the Spongebob Squarepants movie game before? What do you think of it if you have? Do you have a childhood game that you love dearly but can acknowledge hasn't exactly aged the best? And finally, what's your favorite moment of the game dimension? Maybe even rank the reviews if you want. Let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to like and subscribe if you liked what you saw, and the next time you guys see me will actually be in August. Yes, I am taking the month of July off. I hope you can understand. Not just this though, but also New School Arcade, Dating Simulator, my streaming, basically anything you know me from, I'm not going to be in for July. I figured now that I've been fully vaccinated for over 3 months, I'd enjoy a little bit of the summer and come back stronger for Season 2 of the Game Dimension. Don't worry though, it's going to be a strong start, just like always for you guys. Until next time though, this is Benson from the Game Dimension, signing off. Have a good day, guys.
Not this again. Alright. What is it this time? Well, I can get behind this. Why not? Let's explore for a bit.